Good morning. So we had another Million MAGA march in Washington this weekend. Much smaller turnout this time than last time. You know, people are just defeated. People think it's over, and it might be. I don't know what's next, you know? None of the courts will hear Trump's case. So we'll see what's next. A lot of people are talking about this executive order that he signed in 2018 about foreign interference in our election, and that if they can come up with some significant evidence of that. I have not read the entire executive order, but apparently that gives him some leeway to do some stuff if they can find some good evidence on China or Russia or whatever seriously interfering, not Facebook ads or whatever they said in 2016. If these machines come out to be have been messed with by a foreign state. So that seems to be the next logical move. But so as far as the march in Washington, if you didn't catch my video about the march last time, I basically said that, it's good, it's great to go out there and show support and meet like-minded people, and I'm sure it encourages Trump to keep up the fight, knowing that his people support him. But I think people are really missing what's effective. If they could go a day early on Friday, and they can go to Congress. They can go speak to representatives, or at least, aides of the representatives. And that, that's what really moves these people, is actual pressure from the people that will get in their office and in their face and see them and talk to them. So I think the march is great to go up there, and this one was a little bit more, they were doing a lot of praying, and I understand all that, and that's great. But this is a political situation. I don't think we're going to pray our way out of this one. It was cool to see General Flynn up there. He gave a good speech. Trump flew over in Marine One. He was on his way to the Army-Navy football game, which was neat to see the academies, the cadets. They really gave a great welcome to Trump. He walked out and the place just erupted in cheers and chants of USA, and it's really it's sad to think that a guy with as much support as Trump, I know people hate him too, but him not be the next president. It's obvious that the military loves him. He's given them 3 pay raises since he's been in office. That they hadn't gotten a pay raise in I don't know how long before, but since he's been in office, he's given the military 3 pay raises. But we'll see. It's not over yet. So I want to talk a little bit about COVID. My position is that, sure, COVID's real. It's a virus. My position is also that it's entirely overblown, that it's politically motivated. If you go to cdc.gov, I really encourage you to do this. So you're speaking with facts. You're not guessing. You can have logical conversations with people backed up by facts. Go to cdc.gov, and there's a search bar on the top, and you just search total deaths for the United States for 2020. And it brings up, a chart with the total deaths, and there's a specific column for COVID, and it shows the 260 or 270,000 people, whatever it is. But what it also says is that COVID, influenza, the common cold, pneumonia, they're all grouped together. They're all in the same column. So I know everybody talks about, there's no more flu, and they're just counting it as COVID, and it's kind of like that's what we think's happening. No, that's exactly what is happening. It says right on cdc.gov, COVID-19, influenza, pneumonia, common cold, all of those are in the same column. They are grouped together with COVID. So not only that is that shocking, and that should just eliminate all all the overreaction to COVID. We're on par. You know, the year's almost over, but we're on par for having less total deaths in the United States than the previous 2 years. It's like 2.8 million, something like that. So you would think we have this huge pandemic, right? And the big number's 270 or wherever it's at now. There should be at least 270,000 additional deaths when you compare it against last year. Well, it's just not true. You know, and that's you know, they project what will happen for the next couple weeks. You know, these numbers are to date, and we're at like 2.6 something million right now. And last year, the year before, there was 2.8 million plus total. So how does that not blow a hole in this whole thing? If you could just give people that information and say, where is it at? Yes, it exists, but I don't think it's nearly the it's not nearly the pandemic that everybody's claiming it is. Certainly not enough to justify closing down businesses, closing schools, telling everybody to wear a mask. We've totally changed our entire society based on a pandemic that, by the numbers, basically doesn't exist. Don't get me wrong. Yes, COVID is real, sure, but it's not. We're not experiencing more deaths this year than we have in years past. So, CDC.gov, go look at that information. It's really all you should need to basically say, yeah, I'm over being scared of COVID. Remember when this all started? We were seeing videos from China, you know, people falling dead in the street, and there was going to be millions of people dying in the United States. And you know, when Trump went ahead and shut travel down from China, of course everybody called him a racist and a xenophobe and all this. Now in hindsight, that was a great choice. Now, I think more should have been done to not allow these states to infringe on our rights. I mean, they're acting way outside the Constitution based on them declaring states of emergency. And that state of emergency does not give them carte blanche to infringe on your rights. Your right to earn a living, your right to travel freely. You know, your right for the schools to be open, all of it. You know, your rights to not put a diaper on your face. I just can't believe that the people of this country, for the most part, have bought into all this. You go outside or you go into a store, everybody's got a mask on. I live in a state where there's no mask mandate. However, if I go to a Target or a Walmart, everybody's got them on. I mean, literally everybody. If there's 500 people in that store, I bet there's 3 without them. And usually, 2 of those 3 are my wife and I. So, CDC.gov, go look at it. It should totally convince you to not be afraid of this thing, and we need to move past it. Virus or vaccine or not, you know, I'm not going to take that thing. But the problem is they're going to make it that, you know, the government's not going to mandate it, but all these businesses are going to jump on the social bandwagon because it's cool to be scared of COVID now, and they're just going to say, well, you can't shop in here unless you've got your vaccine. You know, we've already seen it with some airlines. You know, these schools are going to do it. If you work at a big corporation, they're going to do it. So, I don't know. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I do think that it's, you know, they give these companies immunity from potential lawsuits on all these vaccines. You know, and they don't do a whole lot of testing on them. And, you know, some vaccines are good. I'm just not so sure about this one. You know, people say, oh, it's the Trump vaccine. Trump didn't do it. Trump doesn't know the first thing about vaccines. Trump ripped out the red tape, and he gave these companies a significant amount of money to really step up their game as far as research and development of these vaccines. But I don't know. There's some reports coming out of Australia that people are testing positive for HIV after getting the vaccine. I'm not sure if that's the Pfizer or the Moderna one. I'm not certain which one Australia has approved for use, but. And it's so funny, the media, they phrase it in a way that says, well, the vaccine is making people test positive for HIV, but they're basically saying it's doing something to your DNA where you test positive for HIV, but you don't actually have HIV. Like, they're just so manipulative, the media. So they're getting you to think, oh, well, it's not really giving you HIV, it's just making you test positive for HIV. You can't trust anything that comes out of those people's mouth. So we had the Cleveland Indian baseball team last night came out and said they're changing their name. They caved to the public pressure, you know, because calling yourself the Indians is racist now. I just can't believe that these big corporations and these big companies, these sports leagues, they have so much power. You know, they contribute so much to the economy that they could really throw their weight around and say, yeah, we're not doing that. But they fold every single time. But, you know, the Democrat socialist machine, they operate off how people feel, not, you know, what actually works or what actually is going on. And they tug on people's feelings and people fall for it. You know, that's why Trump's been so successful, is because he's taken that out of the equation. He doesn't care how you feel. He doesn't care. He's doing what's right for the people, not what makes a certain group of people feel a certain way. And that's why he's so polarizing and a lot of people hate him. But he's extremely productive because he doesn't operate off of feelings. He operates on what's best for the country and the country moving forward. So there you go. You got the Million MAGA March, and of course Proud Boys and Antifa were out fighting all day and all night. And, you know, the Twitterverse basically is condemning Proud Boys because they ripped the Black Lives Matter sign down and burned it in the street. Now, Antifa and BLM have been running through cities all year, burning businesses, burning homes, looting, rioting, smashing windows everywhere, just for the sake of it, just because. But they get a free pass on that. But Proud Boys run through and confront BLM and Antifa and burn a Black Lives Matter sign, and of course they get condemned on Twitter. Typical. We all knew it was going to happen, but good on them. You know, there was thousands of them there. I mean, there had to have been at least 1,000 Proud Boys there. You could tell them by their black and yellow they wear. There were some Proud Boys in kilts walking around playing the bagpipes. It was really neat to watch, especially if you're a proud Western chauvinist like myself. So there you go. We'll see. I think we're going to have a lot of things happening this week. I think Trump's really up against the wall here. They got him backed in the corner, and he tried to go through the courts. Him and his legal team basically tried everything they could to go through the court system, and nobody would hear their case. So I think Trump's going to have to step it up, take it to the next level, utilize that executive order from 2018, and I don't know if he's going to get the military involved, or I know he's allowed to seize people's assets and their bank accounts and stuff like that if he can prove that they were in cahoots with foreign actors to influence an election. So apparently there's been some, they can't depend on the CIA or the FBI, so I guess there's been some military investigations. We'll see what comes of it, but I think we're in for kind of a blockbuster week here. So keep Trump and the Patriots in your prayers. It's they're really fighting a battle between good and evil right now, and I think the majority of American people, they support Trump. They really do. It's a very small sections of the country that are on this leftist socialist maniac agenda. The majority of the country supports Trump. So he needs to keep pushing forward with this. So we'll see what comes up later on today, and we'll pick it up then. Thanks.